In today's video, we are going to be teaching you how to do a full assessment to figure out if a team is ready to go video first. There is a tremendous amount of data, information, and experience that goes into the agenda that we're going to be presenting today, because we have been doing this very thing for the last 3 years. With the experience that we have, we wanted to bring all the knowledge, all the information, all the best practices so that you can learn how to assess a team to figure out if they're video ready. I have with me Rob and Darius from Dubb, and we are going to get into this. Please stay tuned until the end of the video, because at the end of the video, we are going to be giving our best recommendations to, in fact, get a company ready to use video. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and consider clicking that tiny little notification bell so you can get more videos just like this one. This video is created for a couple of different audiences. Number one is how you can figure out to determine if your team is ready to be a video-based selling organization and if you're ready to use Dubb. The second audience would be if you're an agent, if you're a consultant, if you're running some sort of a service-based firm where you help other people enable their sales teams. Coaches, consultants, any type of supportive figure, this video is also for you. The third audience would be if you are in sales enablement. This could be someone within an organization that's doing an assessment or figuring out if they can empower their own organization, or if you're just looking to level up your skills. And the final audience are Dubb affiliates, people that are looking to sell Dubb to other people. Now, of course, there can be a combination of all of these different types of audience, but that said, let's get into this.
What are the challenges that sales teams are suffering from? Darius?
Every business is unique and has its own challenges, but it really boils down to a few principles, which are getting more responses to your messages, getting more conversions, and ultimately getting more sales.
I think what's really important when determining what the challenges of a particular organization are, it's to figure out where the weaknesses in the sales funnel are. Are they top of funnel issues? Is it middle of funnel? Is it bottom of funnel issues? Once you determine where those challenges are, you can figure out what some of your solutions are. For example, classic top of funnel problem might be we need more leads. A middle of funnel issue might be we need to get more qualified bookings. Bottom of funnel issue might be we need to increase our conversion rate. Once you determine what the challenges of the org are, you can start to make recommendations to help them.
Also, once you recognize what the noise is and where it's coming from, you can decide how to break through that noise, which obviously the answer is video.
One thing that we see a lot is that people think that they have multiple issues. We need more leads, we need more bookings, and we need a higher conversion rate. When in fact, sometimes it's actually only one problem, like the leads are not qualified. So if you figure out what the real core problem is, you might actually solve multiple issues.
What are your goals as a sales team?
When you're assessing a team and understanding their goals, this is one of the most critical elements of understanding how to make sure that they're successful. People may be focused on different parts of their sales funnel and the goal within that funnel itself. If you're talking to a marketing team, their goal is to generate leads. If you're talking to maybe an account executive or a sales team, their goal might be to actually get people over the finish line into a sale. Understanding the organization that you're working with and understanding their goals specifically and where they belong in their sales process is going to help us and you to better determine the outcomes of our interactions.
The reason why figuring out what the goals are, first and foremost, is because you figure out what the North Star metrics are. Are they looking to increase the conversion rate? Are they looking for a certain quarter-over-quarter growth rate? Starting with the goals allows you to reverse engineer a solution, and we'll talk more about that when we assess the sales process.
That's a great point. If you don't know where you're going, you have no idea how to get there. And if you don't know how you're going to get there, we can't recommend anything if you just don't know. So you got to know where you're going.
We always recommend a reverse engineering strategy where you figure out what the final destination is and then to work backwards to figure out a path.
Next, we're going to talk about who is your ICP. So Ruben, what does ICP stand for?
ICP is your ideal client profile. This is really the target audience that you're going for as an organization. One of the most common things that people suffer from is that they have too many target audiences, that they're not honing in on one particular type of persona from a demographic perspective, from a psychographic perspective. So it's really important to figure out who the ideal client profile is, not simply an acceptable client profile. Darius?
When you determine who your ideal customer is, you will craft your messaging for that ideal customer. You'll find the channels that ideal customer is on, and you'll customize and optimize all of your sales efforts to contact that specific customer. Now, sometimes there's a hesitation that if you become so focused on one thing, you may lose focus on others. This is a tough decision that businesses have to make, and it may be an ongoing decision as things change. Like here at Dubb, people originally thought video was only for marketing. It wasn't until more recent years where people began to understand that video has such powerful applications in sales. And so by understanding your ideal customer, this will help you optimize the rest of your business and processes in going after this customer.
What is your sales process? When you're a company, what does that look like?
When you're assessing a team, understanding their sales process is also going to be one of the most important parts of understanding where we can provide value. Each sales process is probably unique and has its own steps and funnels and outcomes, but there is overall a general process that we need to understand. Who's involved? Is this inbound? Is this outbound? There's many elements of their unique process we need to understand before we can make ideal recommendations.
One of the things that I really like to do when understanding a sales process is to completely map it out on a whiteboard or some sort of a visual diagram. This could be on paper, this could be on a whiteboard, or this can be in a digital document. The reason why I think writing out your sales process is valuable is because you can figure out all the steps involved in that process. From the beginning of the process where a lead is being generated all the way to the point where someone is converting, closing, and then eventually becoming a referral. One of the important things in determining a sales process is the life cycle stages. Typically, those go from lead to MQL, a marketing qualified lead, to an SQL, a sales qualified lead, to an opportunity, and then to a closed won or closed lost. Every company has different stages, so it's important to figure out what those are. And while you're understanding the sales process, it's also important to figure out what technology is being used. What is the CRM that's being used? Is there an automation platform? What are the human touch points? Who is the sales staff? What does the hierarchy look like? Is there a VP of sales, a director, a manager, and then BDRs or SDRs? Are there different groups that manage different aspects of the sales process? By understanding the who, the what, the when, the how, and the why.
Who, what, when, where, how.
Who, the what, the when, where, and the how. We're really going to understand what an organization's sales process looks like.
And remember, it's called a process for a reason. It's organized. It's there to keep you on track. Otherwise, you get lost. So let's talk about what are your brand guidelines. This is a really cool one because there's so many different aspects to this one.
When we think about branding, we think about what is the experience that someone walks away from when they're engaging with an individual or a company. What is the look and feel of the organization? The reason why this is relevant from a sales perspective is because people can communicate in many different ways. People can communicate in casual ways, in formal ways. They can be transparent about their lives, or they can contrive certain situations so that they put their best foot forward. As a video software company, we're always trying to figure out what people are natural with. Are they comfortable doing a selfie video holding their phone outside on a walk, or are they looking for more of a desk corporate environment where they might think that that looks much more professional? By figuring out what these brand guidelines are and what works and what doesn't work, we can start to make better recommendations that don't necessarily ruffle feathers at the organization.
By having established guidelines, this is going to enable the team to create and share content more efficiently by having things like a central hub of logos and branding, email signatures. This creates a sense of unity and a sense of conformity within an organization. And by providing this unified brand message throughout an organization, communications and processes are made simpler by having things in one central location.
You know, a lot of people struggle with how can I be professional and how can I be authentic and casual? And you seem to do both. So what is your secret?
How do you kind of merge the professional and the personal? Well, in today's world, the personal is becoming ever so present to be more of the professional. So now you may work for a large corporation out there that has an umbrella of branding, like Darius has talked about, Ruben has talked about. So you want to have that unity in terms of the branding, but there is a huge movement to being more real. So once you know the brand guardrail, so to speak, then you play within the guardrails. Most people do their stuff on their webcam, right? That's how they do it. They're professional, they got everything going on, but maybe in the background or what they have over here, they have something personal that's within the space. Maybe their dress code's a little different where it's a little more personal. Maybe, just maybe, they angle their camera a little different. So there are all these different nuances in terms of looks that you can probably get away with when you check the brand guidelines and communicate with your HR department, marketing, sales. So let's talk about what assets the team has. So Darius, why don't you take it away for this one?
Understanding the assets a team has, it's really important. Here's what I mean by assets. The ability for a team to capture leads through a form. This is sometimes a marketing asset, sometimes a sales asset. Or calendar integrations, giving people the ability to book a time in a salesperson's calendar. Or things like websites or landing pages where people can interact with certain elements that have already been created by the sales team or the marketing team. Having an understanding or a map of these assets are what are going to allow you to best help a sales team with their efforts. The chances are that their team and their organization have already put their effort into creating some really great assets like testimonial videos, explainer videos, case studies, websites, landing pages. All of these elements are already performing in their business. And so it's our job to understand the architecture of these elements and how to best incorporate them into their sales processes.
One thing that we definitely recommend is to have an inventory spreadsheet of assets. A nice document that organizes all the assets. These are testimonials and case studies and booking links, forms, and so on and so forth. By placing everything in a central repository, you have a collaboration document so that multiple people at the organization can fill it out and we can put all the cards on the table.
Now, we don't need every single thing that they have throughout their business. These organizations are typically going to know what their best performing assets are. They're going to know what their most recent testimonials or case studies are. They're going to have their booking links or their direct response options like call me or text me or here's our office extension numbers. They already have these things available, and just having their best performing, most important assets incorporated into our processes, we can make sure that leverage this content and these assets as quickly and easily as possible.
And if you can't tell already, the most important part of this is in fact listening to figure out what the problems and the lay of the land are so that you can provide the solutions. Now, as a video software company, you can probably guess that our number one recommendation is to use video. There's so many reasons why we recommend video that Darius can get into. The second recommendation is to leverage automation. Automation is what allows organizations to scale. Now, the difference between scale and growth is with scale, you increase the number of outputs without increasing the number of inputs. Growth is simply increasing inputs and outputs. You want to generate more leads and more bookings and ultimately more sales without having to hire more sales staff. You want to focus on automation because that's what will give you scale. And then the final recommendation is create a process and be consistent with it, which is what Rob can get into.
What you want to do here is you really want to focus on one word: practice. The more you talk to the camera, the more you feel like your prospect is right there in front of you, the easier this will be. Because eventually it will become like saying your name, saying your birthday, saying your friends that you have, saying your phone number. It all becomes just like that. So just pretend someone is right there in front of you. Now, if that makes some of you nervous, remember, it's not live. You're speaking to the camera. You can do this as many times as you'd like. But the key takeaway is do it over and over and over, and then you'll become good at it.
If you're watching this video, the chances are you've already heard something about how powerful video can be. Here at Dubb, we've worked with hundreds of organizations. We've produced countless case studies and testimonials and success stories, all pertaining to the power of video. If you've done this assessment with a team, as a coach, as a sales enablement professional, as a consultant, you may have your own series of recommendations based on what we've learned here. And of course, if you've made it this far, you are probably using video or understanding the value of video and how powerful it can be for sales teams. To put it simply, communicating with video is one of the most powerful, cutting-edge ways of communicating in the sales process. After all, our teams have written hundreds, if not tens of thousands or millions of emails at this point, and there have been very few responses of people being so impressed with these long paragraphs of text. And our team here, we can guarantee that if you send a handful of videos or your clients send a handful of videos to their ideal customer profiles with a message crafted just for them, the responses are going to be astronomically higher than with plain text. You're going to get replies that people are, wow, this was such a cool video. Thanks for that. And these are just the type of replies and responses and engagement we will have never gotten when using plain text. And using some of the technology that we've built here at Dubb, it is as easy, if not easier, and more efficient to communicate using video than it is to copy and paste messages. Something you have to check out for yourself.
Thanks again for joining us today. Again, this is Ruben, Rob, and Darius. I hope you loved the video, and if you did, hit the like button, hit the little notification bell, and please subscribe to our channel. We'd love to have you. Bye.